Speed limits are rising all across the country. Could we see an increase in deadly accidents at work? Months of touchy negotiations end in proposed new rules for iron workers. We'll have details. And CJ's got you covered at home. Find out how to make the inside of your house safe for the young and the not so young. Up next on CJ.
Hello and welcome to CJ for January 1996. I'm Alan Zahn. A new law sends highway speed limits soaring, but will more workers be killed as a result? It's a safety story you won't want to miss. Plus, it hasn't been easy, but negotiators have finally worked out a plan to improve protection for iron workers. We'll have details. Now let's check in with Margaret Douglas on assignment in West Virginia. Margaret?
Thanks, Alan. It's the dead of winter, but rather than run from it, we're going to embrace it. Our training timeout takes us to Pittsburgh, where you'll learn how to work safely in the cold. Then a little bit later, get the upper hand on a killer, stress. For that, we've come to Cool Font Resort in Berkeley Springs, West Virginia. Alan, you can't help but feel relaxed here when you look at all the really beautiful scenery.
Thanks, Margaret. You'll look nice in earmuffs. We'll look for you later on in the show. In the news now, say so long to 55. A new law frees states to raise speed limits. In some cases, they're climbing as high as 75 miles per hour. Melissa Charbonneau tells us why the need for speed could be a death sentence for some workers.
Signs like these are coming down on highways across America. But the repeal of federal 55 and 65 mile-an-hour speed limits that lets states set their own limits has some safety advocates worried for workers who spend time on the road. Already, highway incidents are the leading cause of workplace deaths, according to Labor Department statistics. They accounted for more than 1,300, or 20%, of fatal work injuries last year. Jacqueline Gillen with Advocates for Highway and Auto Safety predicts 30% more fatalities if states increase speed limits to 65 or higher.
And that translates into 6,400 additional fatalities a year at a cost of $19 billion. Well, out of that $137 billion a year, which is the cost to society of motor vehicle crashes, employers pick up $53 billion. That is almost half of that cost. And we are going to see the insurance members of our organization have already said that increasing speed limits will result in increased deaths and injuries, which will increase insurance costs and worker compensation costs.
Gillen says studies show that where states raised speed limits to 65 on rural interstates in 1987, crash fatalities increased an average of 20%.
And these roads have 2 to 3 times the fatality rate of interstates. And these are the roads that are going to be increased to 65 and 70 miles an hour. And this is where you're going to see the bulk of the increase in fatalities and the commensurate costs that go with it.
To start with, there is no way to predict the fatalities.
Gail Morrison with the National Motorists Association, who lobbied to lift speed limits, questions Gillen's numbers and says not all fatalities can be blamed on higher speeds.
Speed itself is not a factor. You do not just suddenly burst into an accident at a particular speed. There has to be other elements.
Morrison argues that despite more highway deaths, overall fatality rates have been declining steadily for years. DOT numbers show deaths per 100 million vehicle miles traveled dropped from 5.5 in 1966 to 3.2 in 76, to 2.5 in 1986, and down to 1.7 in 1994. Morrison maintains higher driving speeds are offset by safer roads and safer vehicles. Lifting speed limits, she says, will save companies time and money.
I think we're going to see money in the pocket of the drivers. I think we're going to see money in the pocket of the manufacturers and with the management.
And why is that?
Because they will be able to get the merchandise, to get the salesman, to get the representative to their place faster.
Already, 9 states have raised their speed limits to 70 or 75 miles an hour, including Montana, that eliminated all daytime limits. Legislation is pending in more than 20 other states. The remaining states are difficult to predict. But as driver and safety advocates move their battle to state legislatures, the lives of company employees in executive offices to manufacturing plants could be hanging in the balance. Lifting the 21-year-old speed limit returns responsibility to the states, but it also means companies will have a greater role in employee safety now more than ever. Melissa Charbonneau reporting for CJ in Washington.
And Melissa tells us some states have no plans to raise their speed limits. You can call your state's Department of Transportation for more information. In other news now, safety advocates are calling it a breakthrough. Iron workers could soon see new standards thanks to the work of a committee known as SENRAC. Stephen Cheetah reports the proposal comes after 18 grueling months of debate.
Tens of thousands of iron workers who work high in the air constructing the skeletons of skyscrapers soon will see a slew of new safety requirements. The rules come out of a unique negotiating session known as SENRAC, whereby representatives of iron workers, employers, and OSHA openly shared in setting the new safety standards.
Instead of the notice going out to parties and people answering that notice with written comments and that turning into a final rule which the agency publishes, these negotiations were face-to-face.
The SENRAC talks mark the first time that the affected parties got together and productively hashed out changes to safety and health rules. And those who participated expect to see a lot more of this kind of negotiation in the future.
And it is a wave of the future. It is going to take place as a new means of promulgating standards in the United States.
SENRAC came up with 20 recommendations for beefed-up fall protection. Paramount among them, lowering the minimum height for required safety procedures to 15 feet from 25 and 30 feet. It also called for a minimum of 4 anchor bolts for columns and for waiting to install shear connectors until after the steel erection is finished. They're the 4 to 5 inch studs used to connect concrete to the beam.
They went the gamut of all the hazards that one would find because they were from the industry, because they understood the problems, were able to really make tremendous recommendations on all the hazards that one would find on a steel erection job.
Union reps call SENRAC a major success. They said it permitted those who must abide by government regulations to help write them.
They're absolutely good for the iron workers, and they're good for the industry, they're good for the contractors, they're good for the employees, and they're good for government. And the people that are affected by the regulation helped make the regulation. So you don't have someone sitting back in a governmental agency making standards for steel erection and at the same time making standards for space shots.
And builders say although the new steps to prevent slipping and structural collapse may raise costs in the short term, they'll pay off in the long run.
In the long run, we think it'll mean a great reduction in the costs associated with injuries and fatalities. We talk about workers' comp, insurance, and litigation costs, settlement costs.
Now that SENRAC has made its recommendations for improving safety for iron workers, it will be published in the Federal Register. Then OSHA will hold hearings. And since all parties have already had a say on these proposed new rules, OSHA expects little to no dissent. Reporting from Washington, Stephen Cheetah for CJ.
Thank you, Stephen. Of course, we'll let you know what happens with this proposal. Now, let's return to Margaret in the mountains of West Virginia.
Thanks, Alan. We're here to talk about the cold. Working in the cold can be uncomfortable, even dangerous, but not if you're prepared. Stephanie Taylor has our report.
Pittsburgh, PA, where the winters are tough, and the tough have learned to brave it, no matter how cold it gets.
O'Donnell, the end zone, touchdown!
No matter how low the mercury drops or how fast the wind chill is whipping, the Steelers line the gridiron and mail carriers walk the streets, no matter what. In Pittsburgh, they work through the cold, and in the next few minutes, we'll show you how to do the same through their example. Whether walking, working, or making a tackle, in cold weather, it takes a certain approach. From the clothes you wear, the medications you take, what you eat and drink, we'll tell you how to avoid injury and health risks associated with the cold. We'll give you tips on staying warm and dry and remaining productive no matter how cold it gets.
And I had this mask over my face, and I was all covered except for like right here. And when I was breathing through my mask, my eyelashes, from the steam or from your, breathing, my eyelashes start getting ice on them.
Frigid out there, to say the least, but you try and keep moving around to keep the blood, circulating.
What to do when the weather is so cold your skin can literally freeze in a matter of minutes, when health is at risk and permanent injury can result. First, of course, it's important to know your enemies.
In a work situation, the most common concern would be frostbite.
The freezing of tissue we just mentioned. It strikes fastest where the blood flows the least.
Namely, fingers, toes, ears, and the tip of the nose.
Frostbite occurs when blood veins constrict and there is a complete loss of blood flow. Without blood flow, the skin goes numb, and if it lasts too long, sensation in your skin and the skin itself can be lost forever. Symptoms of frostbite include stiffness or prickling pain, skin that turns blue or white, and a numb feeling or pain that won't go away. The best thing to do if someone has frostbite is call 911 for help. If you can't get to a hospital, immerse the affected areas in lukewarm water. Do not rub the skin. Hypothermia is the most serious side effect of the frigid winter days and nights. It's the result of the body's entire core temperature dropping. It's rare and happens after direct exposure to cold on your body over a long period of time, but it's potentially fatal. Immediate medical attention is required. Warning signs for hypothermia include intense shivering, muscle tension, fatigue, and feeling cold or numb. The surest and simplest way to prevent hypothermia is to dress appropriately. After sorting pounds of mail inside, Pittsburgh postal carriers throw a sack over their shoulder and head outside, walking the greetings beat for up to 6 hours, so they come prepared.
I have 2 sweaters, a vest, 2 jackets in my car, and when you get the real cold wind chill, I wear the rain gear, which is waterproof, and that cuts all the wind.
The most important thing is to stay dry.
The real key is avoid water. Being wet in a cold environment allows heat loss to be increased up to 30 times.
Another enemy is the wind, which can bring the temperature down to 50 below here in Pittsburgh.
Wind will greatly speed the rate at which heat is lost. So if the wind is blowing by your ear when it's 10 degrees, it literally would have the same potential of freezing if it's minus 20 or minus 30, depending upon the speed of the wind.
So imagine then, under those conditions, you're out on this field, frozen to the bone, and you're hit by a 250, 300-pound guy running as hard as he can.
It's just almost like if you have a little toothpick or whatever, if you hit it in the right spot, it feels like it's, it'll snap right in two. That's what your body kind of feels like somewhat.
The cold weather can be much more dangerous for certain people, smokers for example, because nicotine constricts your blood vessels. People with heart conditions, as cold temperatures force the heart to work harder pumping blood. And asthma sufferers, as freezing air constricts the lungs, making it more difficult to breathe. Medications for these conditions can further complicate the effects of the cold. Whenever you plan to be out in the cold, just as in the heat, it's important to supplement your body with food and liquids, giving it energy to fight back. Nobody likes extreme cold weather, and it can get the better of you if you let it. Just remember the basics. Stay dry by wearing waterproof clothing, wear it in layers to keep warm, and cover your extremities. Eat food for energy before you go outside, and drink plenty of water to stay hydrated. And if you're out in the severe cold, don't smoke. If your fingers begin to go numb from the cold, don't rub them together. That will only lead to further damage. And make sure if you go outside again, keep your entire body warm.
Thanks, Stephanie. Coming up a little bit later, we'll get a lesson in stress management. There's something in there for all of us, even you, Alan.
Thank you, Margaret. Now it's time for us to acknowledge new subscribers to CJ.
stories to look for on CJ next month. Tuberculosis and other infectious diseases are staging a comeback after years of decline. What's this mean for you at work? We'll offer important training tips in February. Plus, we'll show you how you can improve the environment from your home. Recycling is easier than you may think. You may even save money. These stories and more on the next CJ.
Welcome back. If your company has started a new push towards safety, you'll want to watch this next story. This month, CJ is on location at A-Mark, an industrial mechanical contractor in Suffolk, Virginia. Shauna Chris tells us how A-Mark has hit the mark with its new safety program.
Safety is really money. You know, it makes you money and it saves you money.
Rick Anderson, Vice President of Field Operations for A-Mark, couldn't have put it better. Safety is money. Proving his point is A-Mark's safety record. In 1 year, the company that specializes in putting together piping systems cut its accident rate by more than half of what it was the previous year. And they have just experienced 150,000 man-hours of no lost time work accidents. But why is safety working so well for A-Mark? That answer lies in A-Mark's safety program and their dedication to it. A-Mark first opened in 1980 as an industrial mechanical operator. The company does a variety of industrial plant project work, from setting up new plants to installing machinery to helping with plant shutdowns. In 1980, A-Mark had 7 employees, and while safety was important, it wasn't as much of an issue on everyone's mind. But as the company grew, so did its need for safety.
We believe safety starts at the top. It's management commitment to safety.
Management was committed to making safety a priority. So 2 years ago, A-Mark hired Anita Jones as their safety administrator. She quickly set up a number of programs she thought would get everyone involved in the safety process.
We have a lot of training. We put out a newsletter monthly, and we have an Employee of the Month every month.
A-Mark's safety record shows their safety efforts have paid off. In fact, A-Mark has recently won an award for its low injury rate. And the vice president of the company, Les Hall, says a good safety record is what's helping the company grow financially.
To A-Mark, it means repeat business. Customers these days and clients expect that you should come in and work safely.
It's easier for you to get jobs if you have a good safety record. Plus, we've cut down on workers' comp cost and expenses that way. You know, it's really helped out a lot.
So what's their secret? If you're a growing business establishing your first official safety program, here are some steps that have worked for A-Mark. 1. Start a newsletter. It's a great way to provide ongoing training and useful tips. Employees will remember safety issues more if they read about them, as well as hear them. A-Mark's newsletter has information not only on how to work safely, but how to live safely, with articles on healthy eating and exercise. 2. Recognize safety achievements. Everyone likes to be complimented on a good job. A-Mark recognizes their employees' safety achievements in their monthly newsletter. You might also consider sending out press releases to local newspapers or TV stations. Also, A-Mark holds a yearly safety picnic to reward individual safety efforts and focus on safety issues. 3. Provide incentives. A-Mark's Employees of the Month get cash prizes. Of course, it doesn't necessarily have to be a cash prize, but providing incentives can really pay off for the company as well as the individual employees. 4. Get everyone involved in safety. A-Mark is now in the process of forming a safety committee made up of management and employees to get even more involvement and feedback from everyone at the company. Rotate the members of your safety committee so everyone has a say in safety decisions. Also, a good way to get employee input about safety is to put up an employee suggestion box in each department. And 5. Consider non-traditional means of safety. For example, A-Mark conducts drug tests on employees and finds it to be a successful way of keeping a safe work environment. All of these steps cost very little and will most likely save you money in the long run. Plus, the real benefit to everyone is a safe work environment.
I have worked for other companies and been involved with other companies that don't have a safe environment. I don't want to work there. and I don't want our people working there.
On location in Suffolk, Virginia, I'm Shauna Chris, reporting for CJ.
Thank you, Shauna. Now Margaret has more from Cool Font Resort.
You know, we're hearing a lot more these days about stress in the workplace. A lot of companies are installing gyms to boost wellness and battle stress. Stress is a fact of life, but it doesn't have to ruin your life.
Ask yourself if this looks familiar. You push yourself all day at work. The pressure is unbearable. It feels like you've lost control. You can't cope. Well, 3 out of every 4 of us say our health problems are related to stress at work.
About 80% of all disease and illness is stress-related. And if you were to take the experts in the field of stress and disease off to the side, they would say it's not only related, stress actually causes disease.
Here's a partial list of conditions linked to stress: headaches, ulcers, insomnia, asthma, heart disease, and cancer. Workers aren't the only ones who suffer. Stress at work costs industry about $200 billion each year. We simply can't afford to ignore stress. You can blow stress out of the water if you take time out for yourself each day.
I would say about 99% of the reason people come to Cool Font is to de-stress, to get away from their hustling and bustling lives.
Here, the staff teaches that no matter how busy you are, you can make time for a 10-minute walk.
Plus, walking is probably the best and easiest form of aerobic exercise that you can do. You don't have to spend a lot of money, you don't have to join a gym. All you need to do is have a nice, good pair of shoes that's going to give your feet support, and you can do it anywhere you're at.
Exercise is one of the best ways to battle stress, whether it's gentle or whether it's strenuous. Aerobic exercise helps the body slough off stress hormones.
Stop right there, okay?
Keep in mind, you're more likely to exercise if you pick an activity that's fun.
That works the lower abdomen. Squeeze. I keep an eye on my discipline problem here. Oh yeah, let's get a couple more. Yes!
But exercise is only one coping strategy. What you eat can also make a big difference. Here's a list of what to avoid or eliminate from your diet: sugar, salt, and caffeine. These items either bring on feelings of stress or mimic them. Now, eating a well-balanced meal rich in vitamins and minerals can actually help you fight off stress. Drum roll, please. The final way to combat stress is through relaxation. A full body massage may be the ultimate in stress management. It relaxes the muscles, which tighten when we're stressed out.
People need to take time for themselves, and when they don't, they end up taking more time later when they're sick.
Besides relaxing your muscles, a massage gives you time to clear your mind of stressful or negative thoughts. No time for a massage? Any activity that helps you clear your mind will stretch your effectiveness at work. Your company may even suggest ways to reduce stress.
Time and time again, that companies who do take an active interest in their employees see greater productivity and see less incidents of accidents, so that safety and health is definitely enhanced there.
To review, here are the best ways to overcome stress. Exercise. 20 minutes of aerobic exercise several times a week is best, but any exercise helps. Eat smart. Get plenty of vitamins and minerals and avoid caffeine, sugar, and salt. And clear your mind. Make it a habit once a day to stop and enjoy your surroundings. These steps can bring your world under control and boost productivity at work.
After a stressful day at work, one of my favorite ways to unwind is getting in the hot tub, but each of us has to find the way that works best for us. Alan, did you know that journalists have one of the most stressful jobs there is?
Margaret, it looks like you're taking care of that. Thanks a lot. Our final report takes us inside the home. Now, you may not realize it, but you need a safety plan for your home. That's right, especially if you have small children. Here's Kelly Wright with life-saving tips for families.
There's no place like home. A home is a man's castle. All right, you say you've heard it all before, but have you heard that if you aren't careful, your house can be one of your worst nightmares? It's true. Each year, thousands of people are injured or killed in their homes because of poor safety practices.
We feel that there are too many people that are being burned in the homes, that are being suffocated by carbon monoxide, and their whole families sometimes.
Carolyn Sidnoy is a public health nurse for Norfolk's Department of Public Health. She says most of the injuries that occur in the home hurt young children. Because of that, her job is to visit homeowners and apartment dwellers throughout the city to teach them the rules of safety inside the home.
If you have any guns in your house, they should be kept unloaded and locked away.
Children are naturally curious, and they usually investigate everything with their fingers and mouths. That can lead to a serious injury and result in grown-ups taking a lot of time off work to help their children mend from preventable injuries.
Now, the reason why I'm on all fours is not to play around, but to show you what safety experts advise parents to do if they have small children. From this position, you can see what they see. For example, this pair of scissors lying in this chair, a very obvious safety hazard. And then as a child walks around, what is eye level? The socket here, as well as this cord from the air conditioner to the socket. This can be a strangle hazard for your child, and then the uncovered socket could pose other problems, such as shock.
One of the safest ways to cover electrical outlets is with a complete plug cover, and the pieces come apart. You have to take the switch plate apart, install this using a screwdriver, and then this fits over the entire outlet.
Cheryl Bunting is a safety expert for Children's Hospital of the King's Daughters. At this older home in Norfolk, she explained some essential safety tips that will help prevent common injuries inside the home.
Maybe there's some things on the table that could pose a problem for young children, or
even my knee here.
A sharp edge like that could be covered with a plastic corner cover.
Lead paint, is it a hazard that's still a part of our homes today?
Especially in older homes, yes, it is a hazard. There were some regulations made in 1977 in regarding to paint. So if your house was painted before then, or if an old crib that you have in the attic that you want to use for guests, if it was painted before 1977, it may have lead-based paint in it, and that's a problem.
If a child ingests paint chips or inhales too much lead dust, it can cause mental retardation or worse, death. Still, there are other dangers lurking in the home.
One of the problems with the toilet is that toddlers are top-heavy. If they fall in, they have trouble getting back out.
So they can drown.
Right, they can drown in just that little bit of water. This device clips onto the back of the lid and prevents the child from opening the lid without you being here. There are a couple other issues while we're in the bathroom that you really need to consider. Really make sure that the water isn't hotter than 120 degrees. If it is, in just a few seconds, a child can be scalded. Another issue is, and I can't emphasize this strongly enough, is to never, never leave your child unattended in the bathtub. Even with just a little bit of water, if the phone rings, let it ring.
Now let's quickly review some of the essentials of safety inside your home. Secure electrical outlets with a plastic cap or outlet cover. Put plastic covers over sharp furniture edges. Install toilet latches to prevent drowning. Keep your water heater down to 120 degrees to prevent scalding. Call your local Department of Public Health to see if they have a family safety checklist for you. It's free and full of important information for your safety. And remember, safety in your home is and always should be a priority. Experts advise that good safety at home can prolong life for you and your family. Reporting for CJ, I'm Kelly Wright.
And thank you, Kelly, and thank you for watching CJ. If you'd like a written copy of this month's program, it's available on the internet via Safety Online. Here's that address, http://www.safetyonline.net. And that's it for January. We'll look for you again next month.
Products you can use,
Brought to you by Industrial Safety and Hygiene News.
Be safe and look smart at the same time. Titmus has its eye on fashion with these new men's metal frames. It's the EX256, sold in 4 stylish colors. Call 1-800-446-1802, extension 247. Get a grip on ice with new and improved Ice Grip brand high traction footwear. Ice Grips strap over shoes and boots for safety on ice and snow. Ice Grips from Jordan David at 1-800-331-4268.
Safety glasses with a difference. The new frameless safety glasses from Phoenix Edge. Protective eyewear so light, you feel like you're not wearing glasses at all. Call 1-800-821-5218.
It's easy on the ears. Howard Light Hearing Protection. A shape, a style, a model for every need. Quiet protection that speaks for itself. That's Howard Light Hearing Protection.
You have been watching Products You Can Use from Industrial Safety and Hygiene News.
The program you are watching may look like a standard video training program. However, a closer look reveals this video is made possible through the magic of CD-ROM technology. And if you are interested in upgrading your safety training and ready to step into the future of training, the future is here, now. The role of the safety professional has become increasingly complex. Expanded OSHA regulations, EPA controls, company procedures, high-tech equipment, and an extremely valuable workforce make your job a challenging one. In order to keep up with your expanding demands, Coastal Video Communications Corporation, the leader in video-based safety training, has designed a training method that will become your training solution. This new solution will give you the opportunity to spend more time on-site and make it possible for your employees to have the one-on-one attention that effective safety training demands. Because as your employees will see, and be sure to grasp with these CD-ROM courses, when it comes to safety, there may not be a second chance. It's called Clarity Multimedia, and this short videotape will show you why Clarity is clearly the next step in training. CD-ROM technology has made interactive training affordable to businesses and home users alike. With an installed base of CD-ROM equipped PCs expected to double this year to well over 12 million, it's easy to understand why professionals in the know call CD-ROM the wave of the future. CD-ROM stores digital video as opposed to the older analog formats of the past. Digital video is networkable, locally and cross-country. The ability to monitor and even control training at remote sites from headquarters thousands of miles away is now becoming a reality. This will save you time and money and can let your home office, in many instances, maintain control and monitor learning. Clarity courseware is built around international computer standards, so you can go into any computer store and get additional software to use on your installed PC. The Clarity decision also makes courseware easy to customize. U.S. companies are routinely cited by OSHA for failure to make training programs specific to their own very specific operations. Clarity gives you an ideal opportunity to incorporate your company's procedures into each Clarity course without the expense of mastering a new CD. Computer-based learning delivers clear documentation. The documents provided give instant proof to management and OSHA inspectors that your employees have been properly trained. There is no longer a need to shut down a production line in order to cover important training. If you examine the cost of production loss, time spent on overtime incurred for safety training, you will realize immediately how cost-effective this individualized training is. In addition to the savings your company will realize, even within the first year of use, No one can ignore the power of interactive training when it comes to increased retention. Psychologists insist that we remember 20% of what we hear, 40% of what we see and hear, and 70% of what we see, hear, and do. Therein lies the true power of interactive multimedia training. There simply is no better way to ensure that employees are trained. Clarity Multimedia engages employees in the learning process and forces them to become involved. They have no choice. There is no opportunity for employees to daydream during a training session. They must pay attention. The constant testing, drill, and practice is an extremely effective learning tool, and in each teaching loop there is an opportunity for workers to apply what they have learned. This forces mastery of the subject by not letting the worker go on to another section until they have mastered the last. During the real-life situation module of the course, employees are actually thrust into a real-life situation where they are faced with a life-threatening crisis. Upon completion of each course, you can be assured your workers can assimilate the skills they have just learned. This all sounds very effective and high-tech, but easy to use? Yes. Clarity courses are targeted to an employee with a 6th to 8th grade reading level and no personal computer skills. Since Clarity is designed as an individual learning experience, workers feel more comfortable asking questions they may be embarrassed to ask in a classroom situation. Individualized training also gives workers the chance to review any and all material while they learn at their own pace. Identifying students with learning difficulties, which may place them at higher risk of injury, has never been easier. Because Clarity is computer-based, it lends itself to easy documentation. Supervisors can easily and quickly run a report that tracks all the employees who have taken a course and their mastery of the subject. So when OSHA, another regulatory agency, or management may ask, you are always ready with current information. Each PC is compact and can even be made portable. They are often placed adjacent to or in work areas. This makes them available to workers all day, every day, for training or reference. Each course includes an index feature. This just-in-time training allows workers to go right to the section they need for job-critical training. Meanwhile, given the portability of the compact disc, shipping a course to a remote site is simple and inexpensive. This assures that employees in each location are getting the same high-quality, effective training. Clarity Multimedia delivers consistent instruction to every employee in your organization in a visually stimulating manner.
Suddenly, the sparks hit flammable vapors and...
The fact that Coastal Video Communications Corporation has emerged as the leader in safety and environmental training was not left up to chance. Coastal has produced and distributes more than 100 video programs on the hottest safety and environmental issues. We have won numerous awards for our high-quality, comprehensive, and thoroughly researched line of industrial products. Now, with the advent of digital video, Clarity lets your employees actually step into those award-winning programs. However, these are not the same videotapes playing on a computer screen. The Clarity team of research and development personnel, instructional designers, video producers, editors, graphics professionals, and information systems designers began from scratch. They are committed to total quality at every level, for every product and service. Clarity's skillful team will remain on call to answer any questions you may have about your hardware or software, offering you the quality customer service you would expect from the leaders in video-based safety training. When you purchase Clarity, you can be sure you are taking advantage of every benefit interactive multimedia has to offer. Clarity is an affordable training solution. For 1/3 of what you might pay for a single day-long training class, contracting with a consultant, or sending employees to a conference, you can purchase the hardware package needed to use Clarity courseware. Chances are, if you have CD-ROM capabilities, your existing computer can be upgraded for as little as $400. Clarity Multimedia, poised to leave its indelible mark on training well into the future. Clarity offers safety professionals The advantages of CD-ROM technology. Interactive, individualized training. Instructional consistency. Increased retention. Elaborate documentation. Total quality. A rapidly expanding library of courses. An affordable training solution. If you are ready to upgrade your safety training, if you'd like to find out more about the power of multimedia, if you want a training solution now that you can rely on well into the future, if you're curious about how affordable quality interactive training is, discover how Clarity Multimedia can work for you.